Shiny. So I'll begin again. Sorry. Namaskar. This is Indian Institute of Finance, Professor Aman Agarwal. I'm very happy to welcome all of you on the next series of Essence of Growth and Life. We are here talking about the positivity of what life and growth brings in. We have brought in people from across the globe, people from entertainment industry, from the business of acting, from dance, from being academic, from various spheres of life, from the government sectors, and we intend to bring more people, including some member parliament from different countries, to come and speak to you people on different issues. But we bring in a personal perspective. So this is not something which the Institute holds, or this is not a perspective of the Institute, but of their own personal life, their own learnings from life. And today we, as I said, we have a very special person, special to me because she has been my student at the Institute, and I see almost no change in her the way she used to be when she was a student, and now the way I see her smile today. I'm very happy that she has been able to cultivate some of the very basic Indian ethics and cultures in her own self and her children. And she is fairly successful in the way I see her smiles, from being a mother, a wife, and a working woman. Uh, as I said, the disclaimer I would like to make, we are observing all the norms and structures as advised by the Ministry of Home Affairs for conducting online meetings and structures to avoid any kind of Zoom bombing. And as a result, we made it mandatory for all participants to do room registration to get in. The other thing we have made mandatory is that everybody's audios and videos will be kept off. You're requested to kindly keep them off. If you do not, then the cyber head will automatically take you off the room. So we will open the audios and videos towards the end when you have the open question answer session. This session will go on for about 20 minutes to half an hour, where I will be asking a few questions, and after that I will open up. As I can tell you, it is midnight. It's around 1:30, 1:45 in the US, while Shine is with us. And so I like that spirit in her. The smile is as charming as would be when she's caught up in the morning. And that's something which is a secret, I think, comes from the dance part, or maybe something else we'll come to know in a few moments. So we will now begin. And as another disclaimer, as I said, the thoughts and perspectives are of the person who is presenting. They are not supposed to be taken as thoughts and perspectives or comments of the institutions they represent or of the Indian Institute of Finance. And these are personal in nature, and there is no specific objective except for bringing positivity of life to people at large and learning from their own. We have held, as I said, over 50 plus webinars in this state. We had yesterday by Deepak Vora, we had by a Japanese professor, head of the department, who spoke. And today, as I said, we have Bharatanatyam dancer and Shiny Nair, who is now an American citizen, but in her core values, she cannot do away India, and she has large part of her family still in India. And as I learned while I communicated with her the other day, that she comes to India every year, and hopefully we will capture her to visit us at the new campus, which she has not seen soon. We have been able to develop a beautiful campus in about 7 acres of land with about 1,54,000 square feet space, where the library itself, which has roughly about 80,000 volumes of books and over 1 lakh volumes of research papers and material and journals. She would remember some of them, and she was from her student life at the Institute. But we have dedicated roughly about 70,000 square feet space only for library at the Institute, called the Knowledge Center. And it's a public library. It's open for people. Anyone from any part of the country or the world can access it. They only need to give their ID and a small letter of request to access the library when they come to the campus. There is no fee, no charge at all, and it has been a public library from the very beginning. And we are happy that we hopefully, in due course, we have plans to make it a 24/7 library, open 24/7 in due course. Not to talk more about the Institute, but we would like to now talk about Shiny. She is currently heading as the Regulatory Payment Compliance Manager. Almost 50% of the world is being controlled by her for eBay, which includes North America, Canada, Latin America, Australia, for eBay US. Prior to this, she was with financial institutions like the Goldman Sachs, AIG, and Thomson Reuters. And she is from the Institute batch 2003-5. She passed out in 2005. And she has other traits as well. It was interesting. In fact, I did not even remember, but then it came to my mind that she did her basic education in Dubai, and she came in from there to us. And she has also, which I did not know was not right, but then she learned Sri Lankan folk dance, which is interesting because, Sri Lanka in terms of culture, in terms of dress attires, and in terms of beliefs, is quite similar to India. Although they are quite modern in terms of their approach, both the men and women there are very modern as compared to what I've seen in India. I know some people, very close friends of mine, so I find them quite modern. But she has learned that, and it's interesting because dance and culture brings life, in my opinion. She has been a student, if I am correct, of Srimati Rama Vidyanathan, but then she has had various teachers because she has had stints of life in different parts of the world. And I think that is the beauty which she brings in with her today, because she has grown in not only moving to different places of the world, like Gunzo did yesterday, moving to different parts of the world for working or studying, but she has actually grown up in different cultures and different environments. So I think that brings a wider perspective of life together. Now, before I begin in Chinese, I would request if you can throw a bit of light on maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, talking about your life, how you have grown from a very childhood, talking about your passion for dance, how did it come in, how did it seep in, and then growing up, and take us through the journey to where you are today, and then we can begin our session on what I want to ask you in terms of life in essence.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful opportunity. It is indeed my great honor to be a speaker here at the webinar, and I'm so happy. Indian Institute of Finance is providing all this webinars. Please, everybody, take use of it, make use of it, because these are really, really helpful. This is one college that has shaped my career, my prospects, and my life. So to say something about myself, I grew up in Dubai, and I'm from Kerala. Till my 10th grade, I came back to India. So I started my basic training in Sri Lankan folk dance at the age of 3, and I'm the only dance person in the family. My parents are not inclined into dance. I'm the only one who kept on pushing, and it so happened at the age of 6, I was so blessed. There was this teacher who moved from India. She is from Kalakshetra, and under Srimati Vijaya, I started my Bharatanatyam classes, and I did my formal Arangetram in Dubai at the age of 13, and then I moved back to India. So after that, in Kerala, our house was very close by to a very huge institution, dance institution, but my parents were very strict. They said, dance is done, now it's the time for studies. You focus on your career, and that's when, so dance took a backstage, but still, in college, everywhere I just moved into the Bollywood, cinematic dances. I gave a break to Bharatanatyam, but that was somewhere there, that was my passion. I did my MBA at Indian Institute of Finance, and then I did my work. I got my job at Bangalore in Reuters, and then Goldman Sachs. And after that, I got married, and I came to US, settled here. I was being offered a transfer from Goldman Sachs to New York office, but I did not take that offer. Instead, I decided to remain back in North Carolina at that time. I had a baby, and my daughter was born in 2010. I did my second master's. I did my master's in ethics and compliance from Massachusetts. So it was quite challenging because we have a 1-year-old baby, and my husband was studying from Stanford, and I was from I was doing my master's here. So it was you look after the baby, I look after the baby, you look after the baby. It was such a trying time for us, but we succeeded. Yes. So that was fun. Then I guess when she was 2 years old, slowly this dance dance thoughts started coming up, because I think I'm having a girl, and I would love to pass on that Indian tradition to her, the culture in her. So what better way to express our culture than dance, like classical dance? So I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a big ardent devotee of Krishna, and I really feel like, Lord Krishna brought all this happiness. And I mean, whatever I'm here today, it's all with his blessings. And so I started back dance in 2013. And ever since, I have not looked back. And I feel like that has been a very important juncture in your life, because it is very important to have a passion which you can follow. Because when you have work, when you have your life, you need something to fall upon. That's your, what do you say, that's your comfort zone. Like it's a stress relief for you. You dance, it's your, you're growing yourself. You learn a lot with dance. So, and now I have been really fortunate to give a lot of performances within US. And I moved back, I moved to Austin, Texas. There I have been like, really blessed with receiving opportunities to dance at Blanton Museum, where like, we had a big exhibition of Radha Krishna, and they had specifically asked me to come and perform a dance. I did Madhurashtakam. So like slowly I'm getting there. I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but this time and everything is falling into place for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Zaini, for
work, and in the work front, yeah, I forgot about the work front. So right now I'm in legal. I used to work in financial institutions. I had this calling in legal compliance and ethics when I started working at Goldman, and that's another reason why I did my master's in ethics and compliance. So law degree is my final thing. So I would go into law school soon. So and now at eBay I manage compliance, regulatory compliance for all these regions that Sir mentioned, and any policies, regulatory changes. It's a very tough job because we need to keep tab with the regulatory changes, and there is no room for error. So always, and I mean, you're always there, like, talking with this senior folks. So it's a really challenging career move I have, and I don't see a lot of Indians in a legal position, especially. So I brought diversity to our team. Let me say that. Thank you, sir. So are you trying to say something, because your voice is breaking?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, and now I can hear you, yes.
I was saying that I'll take your call from 2013 when you said that you started rejuvenating because of the dance, which you started accepting and learning, and then going through again the passion which you had in your life. And I personally feel that, dance, which is some of the very old heritage of India, it was primarily designed, as I remember correctly, maybe you may correct me, to please gods, and then it became a source of entertainment for others, but it was more to please gods at that initial stage it was there, and and to reflect what you had in your feelings or expressions. So what, in your opinion, have you gained from there on about life, and how do you see growth from that perspective?
So during this, if it is especially to the pandemic situation right now, sir, is it like question? No, in general.
No, we're not talking of today.
So, so it brought me closer to God. That's the best answer I could sum up with, because you read a lot. You need to understand, like, when a dance item is being, like, choreographed, you need to look into the prose, the poet. You need to understand what the on what what do you say, the moods that that poet is writing that particular lines out there. So it's up to the dancer, the performer, to show what he is intending, so that the audience are able to like get it. I mean, get that essence of what the music or the lyrics means. So at that point, one thing I have understood is, this is another one great example of growth, because when you're young, that it's so easy to be your mind to be clouded with all these thoughts, like, unnecessary thoughts. Okay, where am I going? Am I getting here? Like, am I getting a lot of opportunities there? It's a constant competition. But the trick is to calm your mind and just I mean, just, you should not have that fear in yourself, like, as to where, it's not a competition, it's a competition to yourself. You thrive better, you put in that effort, it will show out there. And for me, it's always about, like, it brings me closer to God. Before each performance, I have this, I do a lot of meditation. I sit and I have a conversation with God, and it's so important in our life, because those moments literally, like, make you feel like, I mean, it helps you grow to be a better person. That's what I feel.
True. True. I'll come to spirituality and meditation because I have some things there as well, because you raise these issues very critical. But I would like to know, you have lived in different countries, different phases of your lives in different parts of the world. How do you see the perspective of life and growth changing in your own self when you were a student in Dubai, and then when you moved to Kerala, and then when you passed out from the institute, and then when you settled in the US in a new framework in a married environment, and then wanted to move forward. And in any case, you've shown something about 2013 onwards. But then when these 3-4 phases came in your life, do you think there was change in that perspective of life and growth throughout these different phases?
Definitely, yes. As a child, when you grow up, like, all you're thinking about is saying that evening prayers and, like, getting off with it. Like, you are not deep, you're not understanding what that really means. When you grow up, like, when you have a lot of studies, like, God just becomes like, oh, please, like, help me with this exam, this. So that connection is lost. So, but each stage of your life, you're just growing closer and closer. And once you're, I feel like, I have grown a lot after getting married, after settling here in US, when I'm so away from my culture. So something which I have seen is, it's my personal experience. You take for granted for things in India, like, oh, the temple is there, this rituals are there. You take everything for granted. But here, you literally yearn for it. Like, you crave for those feelings. And I'm like, I go to the temples. I make sure, like, Dia, like, my daughter's name is Dia. She follows those traditions. Like, she understands what we are doing, and I tell her the meaning of our word. And each and every festivals, be it celebrated in South India or not, like, I just celebrate those festivals just to make her understand the importance of why we celebrate it. So it's a lot grown within me, my life, and like everything. Like, I mean, life had and growth has been very exponential after being in the United States. I think maybe, like, you're in a much more mature self at that time, or like you're away from your family. But I feel like, in my experience, it's both. Away from family and like, I mean, you have that constant support system in your beliefs.
True, true. No, so, many people in the last few sessions have said that, things have actually grown happier because of these lockdowns and constraints which have come up. Even the other day, I was speaking to an old friend of mine I had not spoken to for almost 18, 20 years. She's a rector of a university in Turkey. And she was also of the same opinion that, although this is a threat which has come, but then it has moved. So, and from what I understand from you also, so do you think to become spiritually active or to go towards meditation or to relearn your own self, one has to create either situations or deprive oneself of certain facilities?
No, not. I don't agree with that. But in my situation, it was like, I mean, because none in my family are this spiritual, or I mean, they all go to the temple and everything, but for me personally, it was like, I mean, away from everything. And I think, like, you're born with that in deep down inside, it's always there. So one thing I'll say is, because being an ardent devotee of Krishna, when I do a piece on Krishna, I feel like, I miss so much of the stories. I don't know many of the stories. And then I have to go back, understand, learn. I'm like growing there. And so that was another one reason why I made sure, like, my daughter learns Bhagavad Gita. So she is learning Bhagavad Gita, and I'm learning with her. Like, she's like completed chapter 12 and she's come back to chapter 1. So I'm learning with her Bhagavad Gita shlokas, and I love doing that practice with her. It's difficult for her, but she loves it. So that is something, like, we enjoy doing it. And the second thing I'm doing is, like, Vishnu Sahasranama. We take those things so lightly, but those though the power is so immense that it calms you and makes you a better person. So
and now I'll come to the spirituality part which you were mentioning. In fact, I was reading the other day that spirituality helps walk the talk and recalibrate the right response to difficult situations. So do you think that is the case with you as well?
Yes, I would personally say that, because see, in my family also, like, here, my husband he is religious. He comes with me to the temple. It's not like, as religious as me, like, lighting the diya every day in the evening and in the morning and all these things. But for me, I feel like that saying is so true. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. That is so true, because you feel like, there is one superior person up there, be it like, any god, like, it can be. I mean, I don't have any, because I studied in a Arabic, school, like a Muslim school. So I have always prayed the Muslim prayers when I was in Dubai. And then before that, I was in Cambridge High School. So it was like British. And then in India, I studied in a Christian convent. So you are a part of the choir, and, like, I know all the lessons. I know all the chapters of Jesus Christ and the Bible and everything. So when my daughter started here, she went to a Christian school. So the Christian schools here in US is like, they need to have a mandatory Christian Bible studies, mandatory Bible studies. I didn't have any issues with it. They asked us this question. So my husband and we were saying, all path leads to the same God. It's just the different names we give. But at the same time, as a mom, I really wanted Dia to understand what our religion, because she is that young age, like, kindergarten and that first grade. So I really want her to understand what our religion is, what is the difference between the other religions. So there are conversations when happen, like, when she says, okay, it's so easier in Christian religion because there is only one God. Here, there is Ganesha, there is Krishna, there is Devi. So she keeps, like, saying, I said, each one has different powers. I, like, you have to make her understand. So now at this point, if she goes to any school, I don't have any problem, because she knows who she is. So that one point was very important for me to make her understand that I need her to understand her roots, her culture. That's all I wanted. Yeah.
So you highlighted in your introduction about the fact that how meditation and spirituality helped you attain the understanding of a sense of life and growth. But do you feel that there is some role of soul consciousness also in it?
Of course, yes. Like a lot. Like each and everything you do. Like if you believe in the true thing of karma, you will not. You are always conscious of what you're doing. Do a good deed, you get a good deed back. So never expect anything in return. Like, I mean, there is so much of literary work out there, like regarding the social consciousness and those meditation thing. But for me, it helps a lot, even if it is like, before a important meeting, or like, help me think. So I'm a person, like, I wake up early in the morning just because I just wanted to sit down. I like light the lamp and then I go outside and sit. Just sit. I don't do anything. I just listen to the outside, like, the sounds. And I was never that person. I was never. So that's what so to your question, like how life and growth has happened. I was always a late night person. I could never study in the morning. Early morning studies were like, everybody used to say the Brahma Muhurtam and everything. Nothing. I can never study in the morning. But things changed so drastically that, like, now I cannot sit beyond 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like, it's so difficult for me. So for me, that early mornings is the ritual, and that small time of that meditation makes a lot of difference, especially during this pandemic time, when there is this work-life balance that you have to follow, and you are at home, and you're not just a compliance manager. You're a mom, you're a cook, you're a housekeeper, you're like teacher. You're adorning so many hats, and you have to keep on moving with it. So at that time, that small little amount of meditation you do in the morning, that I feel like, that rejuvenates yourself for that day.
So, now if you can outline what you think are the key factors in maybe few words, which, outline the essentials of life and growth, in your opinion.
For me, in my opinion, work-life balance is the essence of like life and growth for, be it like 6 months or in the future or anything. Because when you have a right, I'm not talking about a working woman or not. I'm not talking about anything like that. It's to everybody. Even if you are a stay-at-home mom, who has a lot of work, stay-at-home mom or a working woman, you need to balance yourself. You need to take the time, divide it so wonderfully. Like, you need to have a passion for yourself and work towards it. That work-life balance is the major essence of life and growth. That's what I believe in, because for me, like during this time, as a dancer, I feel like this is the best time for me to go back to my roots, the basics. I'm going back to my adavus. I'm revisiting the old choreographies that I have learned, which which we haven't done for a long time. So I'm doing that. I'm teaching my daughter, like, perfecting that small things which I never used to get time. So she's growing. So for me, like, it has to be a balance. It's and you shouldn't have a positive approach to it. It's no way like going around. You have to be positive, and you have to have that outlook. Change your mindset to be looking at life affirmation the best. Yeah.
So if I understand correctly, what you're also saying is one must invest in oneself to actually go about it with growth and happy living.
Yes, absolutely. You have to invest in yourself, because you don't know, like, what is in store for you in the future. So if you don't take care of yourself, and not even like not physically, I meant mental happiness does play a big role in it, and you need to grow too. So you need to invest in yourself.
You go in that. Every one of us is different. It's not like everyone needs to party. That's a physical celebration, But how does one go about celebrating life? Enjoying those fruits and those pleasures of life, which like you said, you go out, sit in the air, listen to music in the early morning. So in my opinion, I would personally feel that is more like celebration. But what is your perspective of celebration of life?
For me, my biggest, the recent thing which happened to me, those are the things which, which makes me feel very content in life. Like when somebody comes and tells you, you have taught your daughter to be very compassionate, very humble. She's such a caring kid. Those values, if you're able to impart in your child, and if you're able to, so she learns from us, that means that we are showing their values. So those are something which I feel like, I mean, that is something which, I mean, is the essence.
Correct, correct. You have, you worked in the finance field, now you're working to go to legal, and I heard if you said that you're planning to do a law school program in the law school as well. So you are learning and wanting to learn more and more. And I think it's not only, the aptitude is more American because you work, learn, work, learn, work, learn. In India, it's more learn, 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 and then you work. But the purpose is also there that you end up learning. Now, given this, that means you have chalked out a framework for your own self for going forward. In that sphere, how do you see life shaping up in the next 6 months to a year?
This is the best opportunity, sir. That's what I'm telling. Like, more things what I have thought in my mind is taking shape, because I'm pursuing currently CIPP certification. That's a privacy professional certification for my work. So I've been very heavily involved in the GDPR when it rolled out in Europe in 2018. So I used to say, like, if anything happens in eBay and somebody has to go, behind it, I'll be the one who has to go back. So because my name was everywhere, I had to give the final sign off on that. So that got me really interested in privacy. So I'm doing a certification course right now. This 6 months, or you don't know how long it's going to take. This is the time when you invest in yourself, because you make use of this time, plan your future, have a goal set, and work towards it. You have that liberty, you are having your family with you. You don't need to think anything else, because otherwise, life here in US is as you know, sir, I'm very social, and I have a lot of parties and get-togethers and everything. So it just gets drowned in all those moments, and I do a lot of performances over the weekends. For me now, the performances over the weekends have gone, and the get-togethers have reduced. Now, I mean, it's completely gone. So now there is a lot of time for me to think about, okay, I have kept this aside. This 6 months for me is very crucial, because I have made a list for myself, and I'm checking off the boxes. I have made a list. And it can be a simple task, bringing your weight down, or what you eat, diet wise. For me, I have set the goal for this privacy examination. So that goal is there set, and I have to think about my LSATs after that. So I'm actually working on that list. So this is the time when you make that list. Because when you are, after the 6 months or after this pandemic gets done, you're again in that race. You're moving ahead, and there is no stop again. I mean, so this time, think this as a blessing from God, instead of sitting back and having that negative thoughts. Take this with a positive outlook and make things work during this time. That is one thing which I would say, and I have been saying this to everyone.
From what you have learned from life and your dance and your different exposures in different places, what would you say would be your success mantra for life?
My success mantra, sir, would be having a positive outlook. Learn as much as possible. The technology is developing, and technologies are changing every day. So just today I came to, I read a lot of articles. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of books, all genres of books. So, I mean, reading enhances your knowledge. So just today in the morning, I was just reading, Amazon Prime is going to have this, going to release the movies that were kept, for the theater releases movies, are they going to have the digital prints? So they are coming up with new solutions. Facebook is coming up with this new the Hangout, it's similar to the Zoom session. So I'm very interested to know what's happening out there. What is different between that? So the new technologies, new ways of living. I mean, have that positive approach towards life. That's the success mantra, and have a good work-life balance. Because it's not that I have been successful always. I did struggle, when this pandemic happened, I struggled, so it was difficult for me, but I could get one day you have to just pull yourself up and just start doing it. Stop. Yeah. So my meetings were from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. And I took like 2 breaks in between. It was like killing me. So I just had to say, I can't do it in the evening. I'll listen to the recorded session. So there, among the youngsters, there is this thing called FOMO, the acronym they use, fear of missing out. Address those fears. Just address those fears, and there is nothing you're missing out. It's not a rat's race. Just go at your pace. Enjoy the life with a positive approach. That's the success mantra.
So you beautifully put it. I have about 2-3 more questions before I open the house for other people to ask. Mm-hmm. And I know it's late for you, and as you said, you don't like to be up late at nights.
No, today I'm so excited. So you can see me, I'm not even having one lick of sleep.
Good. I'm happy that you're excited, and I can see that. I'm very happy to be interacting. And in fact, I will try and bring in more alumni, because I've missed exchanging notes with them for decades now. And it is such a pleasure for me, my own self. In a world of uncertainties, at times are uncertain. Everything brings in uncertainty. And like the Hollywood actress said, that when she was young, she would like to bring in certainty in her life. But now she enjoys uncertainty. She likes to live in uncertainty. In your opinion, you come from the legal field where things are pretty much in black and white, and things have to be in black and white. So you move between those lines which have been drawn by organizations or institutions or legal frameworks. But then I believe the whole court system and the judicial system moves on this uncertainty of what comes in and what goes out as information, and you take decisions on that. So how do you personally induce certainty in uncertainty?
You should always keep a room of room for uncertainties in your area, because if you go according to the timetable or in a scheduled way, you're going to get yourself bogged down very easily. So always have that room for because challenges. If you don't face those challenges or uncertainty, you will never learn. So those challenges or uncertainties in life is a very big key lesson for you to improvise, make things better, and you learn yourself. You revamp your thoughts, at that particular moment, and how to go ahead with it. So there was a couple of occasions, there were a couple of scenarios where we had this particular regulatory rule, we had to make sure it works aligned with our company, our company's mission, and our company's, the way how we work. So we had to make this uncertain. I mean, it's so difficult, but then we have to draw the line and think out of the box, and sometimes it becomes very successful. And yeah, and one such idea of mine has been incorporated among the many ideas. One was really big. So I was so glad, it was just a small thing which happened, but I mean, now when eBay looks at it, it's all because of what happened to me. I brought it in front of them and said, these things happen too, which you kept it aside saying this will never happen. This happened too. So there you go. Now let's make a process around it. Let's put our, procedures and policies around it that, these things can happen too. Nothing is
True.
certain in this world. Yeah.
True. You know,
Even
Shaheen,
legal.
a lot of young people, although you're very young as well, but still, I mean, even the younger generation, as people are referred to as millennials and others, they are perplexed with this problem of plenty, which I call. And this is not something new. The problem of plenty has been going on for quite some time now. I would say almost for 3 decades or so. But now you have this problem of plenty with everything too much before you, whether it is information, access to resources, access to products and services. You know, today I want to watch a television. There are so many channels, but I don't find pleasure in watching any one of them. And then when we read newspapers or TVs, we see so much of power and money getting reflected there that the feeling is that for young people in specific, because they don't have an understanding, they're grown, they are led by what has been seen. And that's what we can see, that when Facebook was put into problem because of the election position in the Congress in the US, they were influencing people's mind using social media. Now, is life all about power and money at the end of the day?
No, sir. This is something which we teach our child a lot. Like, life is not about power and money, because everybody has this notion that, being a single child, she will be pampered, and like, she will get all those things, whatever she asks for. Sorry, like, we are like, it's not about what we give or what we don't give. It's about what she earns, like, what she I mean, you don't need everything I mean, earlier, like, how did we grow up? Like, we read a lot of books. I would like to take this opportunity, like, use this opportunity to talk about Finance India, the journal that we have on a quarterly basis. When I was a student in IAF, I mean, being at that time, like, that's a lot of, like, to cover up and study and all those things. You never understand the value of it until and unless you come out of it. And then I mean, oh my gosh, it was all covered in the journal. The amount of information it's out there. When I joined Reuters and when I was looking at the portfolios and everything, that's when, like, my God, like, so that finance journal book, like the Finance India journals, are so immense knowledge. And this generation, they don't go to books. They don't read. They just take the help of internet, what is out there in internet. They
Correct.
hesitate to go to senior what do you say, senior teachers or professors for advice. You can't believe what is out there in our in our internet, because it is like, construed in such a way that will make us happy. Like, when you read, as a reader, when you read it, it will make our mind peaceful. So I would say, like, immense reading is extremely needed. When you have a problem, like, just read articles and you will understand that better than reading something out there on the internet. So the power and money, like, right now I'm telling you, sir, like, there is this thing which is happening right now in Texas. My husband mentioned about this. Their company, they are not investing money. They are not giving their profits. The retained profits which they have, it's not given back as to the shareholders. Instead, they are investing in what do you say? It's called as a social responsibility. Like, they are investing in the eco-friendly projects, saving the planet Earth. It's called as a corporate social responsibility, where, like, where the companies are being like, it's a brand marketing kind of a thing, where they are, like, going into sustained living and taking care of the planet and humanity. You don't need money and power. Don't go behind, like, power and money. They will come behind you when you do the right things. So that should be the motto. Like, I don't know, we all do that, but then that's so wrong.
Correct. Correct. No, I'm happy you got it in that manner, because it's important for people to understand. Even as adults, many a times we are lost and engulfed by this particular myth of power and money.
Mhm.
And it's not because of us, because what media, what newspapers bring before us, I have yet to come across where a newspaper brings a research study. Although fortunately, our research studies in Finance India have found front pages of newspapers, Times of India, Hindustan Times, and even other places worldwide.
Mhm.
But many, we are very few. There
Mhm.
are much work being done around the globe, and we really not
Yes.
finding news or good work coming out, but more of celebrities, more of people who have a lot of money and a lot of power, their faces, their photographs. And that's what makes the depiction of life being like that. And that's what we want to be.
Yes.
Go to two more questions before I open the house, and I'll request everybody to kindly raise their hands so that I can open up the sequence one after the other. My last two questions before you are that three questions, in fact. One is that, you have seen
So your voice is breaking up.
projections. There is some network problem, unfortunately, for us 2 3 days.
No, no.
Life in India. You have not been living in India, but you must be reading a little bit about India because it's core to your heart. But in India, they have been projecting an economic growth of about 1.9% by IMF about 3 weeks back. And then the growth figures for 2020, that's January, December 2020, as you do in US, is projected at 1.9% by IMF and about 1.7 to 4% by various other agencies, including ADB and World Bank and others. Whereas for 2021, it's been projected at 7.4%. Now, having known the potential of India and Indians, and as an outsider now, not as an insider, but as an outsider with a bird's eye view, do you feel these projections of 1.9% are conservative in nature or too optimistic in nature to what India has a potential for?
So this question, I would take it like very superficially, because I would apologize for that, because I've not been following a lot of Indian capital market at the present moment. But I feel like what India's growth is. It's growing in an exponential way. It's moving so much ahead, because you can see that here, among when this has nothing to what you asked, sir. But because I can't have that answer. I don't have that answer for your question. But when Modi ji had come to US here in Texas, the amount of Indian in the amount of Indian power was seen, and how the Americans here in my office, they were all saying, wow, India is developing. I'm telling, India is already developed. It's just it's it's the mindset of how people think about it, and they keep asking this, how do you speak so much, how do you speak this good English, and all this question. I said, why do you think that? I mean, how come you're asking those questions? It's just the it's just a notion. It's just a
Correct.
notion that India is struggling or something. The amount of efforts that's been taken for this pandemic is my God, it's we we here among our colleagues, we speak talking about this the India measures are amazing. And there was this Chinese a colleague of mine who said, I can't believe India it's it's in the forefront of fighting this pandemic, so with the social distancing and everything. But I know it's not a question which you asked, sir, but I had to give this overview view of it, because unfortunately I'm not following the, uh, the capital
Appreciate
market system.
it. Wanted the bird's eye view, as I said, and I knew that since you're not here and you are engrossed in your work profile, and I was talking to my wife the other day that
Mm-hmm.
for women who are working, and now with this online classes and who have young children, it's even a bigger burden because they are
Mm-hmm.
now having two. One is taking care of to their work, then their child, then home affairs, and even their husband. So it's like 4 times
Exactly.
the job
So
schedule. So I can appreciate. But, I wanted that bird's view, which you rightly pointed out, in fact. My last two questions, as I said, as a young person who has roughly about 65, 70 years ahead of your life, and every one of us has aspirations, what is that you're looking for that governments, whether it is American government or any other government, what governments can do to induce good growth and happy living? I know they can't give happiness to people, but they can actually create the environment, create a framework to induce that happy living concept. So what is that you think, or your expectation would be? You do not know 70 years, maybe in due course you come back to India and you settle here. A lot of my people I know from the US want to do that actually, though they're not able to do that, their family or other compulsions, but otherwise they do. But given the fact that the governments have been trying to do something or the other, but what is your aspiration in terms of what they would do or they should do?
I would say the governments, be it India or here US, they should be. I'm talking about the work life here. So they should be more open to having 4-day work week, and then having a 3-day weekend. That's a very good way of balancing out life. That is one thing. And then we see a lot of work-life balance here. That is something which I like to see it in India too, because I've seen so many of my colleagues they still have that really rigorous timings and hours which they have to work. While so the work-life balance is if at all we feel stressed or anything, there is the happy hours. They have Tuesdays are no meetings day. So they bring a lot of incentives here. And one thing I would like to point out is during this pandemic time, my husband's company, they have come up with, they pay every employees in the company on a bi-weekly, when they pay you bi-weekly, they pay a certain amount of money. That amount of money has to be used to order food from local restaurants in order to boost up their sales and help them sustain the growth, because they are losing a lot of customers right now. So that small incentives that the corporations in aligned with the government that they are taking out here, those are really remarkable. I feel so something something like
Very
that.
nice. And last question from me: what would be your advice to the youths and the students?
Don't be in a rat's race to going ahead of don't be in a competition mode. Just don't. That mode is really that mode will take you only to one. To a certain level. Be humble. Have patience. Learn to be patient with your ambition, and it's okay to to work hard, but don't get disheartened when you don't get the rewards. Just enjoy this phase, learn as much as possible, read as much as possible, enhance your knowledge, build new skills, make new ways of learning during this time, and use this time as a big the major point in your career or in your student life for reading. Just read, enhance your knowledge, reach out to your professors, reach out to people, understand the knowledge of what is happening. There are so many technologies that is happening, that's developing every day, and reach out and ask for mentorship. Mentoring is a big thing, and don't just get bogged down with success. That person got success, I didn't get success. Do not be. You'll all be successful, because one way or the other, it's very important for you to become happy. Be content with your life. Have a very, very positive approach and calmness in your mind, and you will be able to achieve anything you want. So today in the evening, when I was sitting outside, there is a sign outside, like, in our patio, which we have. And I just read that, like, I mean, it's like, slow down, read a book, feel the breeze, listen to the birds, relax, enjoy the day, watch the sunrise and sunset, because you never know what is in ahead of you. So take a slow approach, have a positive outlook, go and conquer. And
So,
please reach out to me if you have any questions or anything, like, yeah, happy to help.
perfect. So I will now open the house for questions by the others. And I have with me Ashok Laha, who is in fact CEO and president of an American company called Intera IT. Uh, and so, and he has an office here as well. So he runs a company both in India and the US. And fortunately, because of this lockdown, we have him here with us. Otherwise, the first question I have to ask him always is, are you in India or in US? Before I can forward with him. But we were very happy to have him. And I saw him actually go to his office yesterday. But I think today he's very much in his home. So I now open up for Ashok to maybe ask his question or comment. Please go ahead, Ashok.
Thanks, Aman. Thank you very much. I was in office yesterday because during the pandemic, I come to the office. I go to the office because I got lots of people that are working there in the office. I got infrastructure going on and everything else, so I have to make sure I'm there. So I don't, my electricity. Anyhow, Sandy, thank you very much. Thanks, wonderful presentations. I get amazed by your personality. We
Thank
have,
you,
I got a company in the US. I'm American citizen. I grew up and I went to US, when I was in the 20s. That's good. Then I settled there. Then after working for some time, I started a company 20 years ago in Silicon Valley. Okay, next to eBay. I when I go to the office, I see the eBay every day, on the first street. Anyhow, the question I'm asking that you went to IIF, which Aman is a wonderful friend, and I got the privilege to be the faculty here right now, for honorary faculty. And then you want to move to US. I can relate to what you just said, but I like to use your word. I want to use your word. You use the word, what IIF helped you to be what you are today. What exactly the 2 years helped you to be here today, to be what you are today?
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for your question, and thank you for the, appreciation. And so that question, what IAF created, that 2 years created. So every time eBay's the revenues or the town hall meeting, when they project eBay sales or their revenues. Oh, this I know, this is the calculations, this per capita, this market share. You know what? Because that's the basic foundation in finance I have. So I am at much more higher advantage than many of my colleagues, because anything related to finance question comes for us, for example, when you look into the card schemes and the calculations for the consistent charging mechanisms in Visa or MasterCard, because we are getting into the payments industry, it's so much easier for me to understand the terms because I have a background in finance. So the legal thing, yes, okay. So the legal aspect is how many notice period it needs to be served on a legal basis. So what goes behind the calculations, it's easier for me to understand, so that I will be able to present to my director, okay, this is the calculation behind it. This is how it is going to be. So these are some of the things which are worked in my favor.
Okay. One of the statement you made is that life and growth and you have grown exponentially after you moved to US, right? How
Yes, sir.
to quantify that? What's the reason behind it?
So when you are in India, like, I mean, I'm still blessed with a very loving family who takes care of you. And half the responsibility is like, whenever I come to India, I mean, it's like so easy. I don't have to think about what has to be the next minute or not, like, no, nothing, because my parents are taking care of everything. So where to go, what to do, like, everything, the plan has been done. So being a person who was that pampered in life, and who was being taken care of each and every decision making, like, they were like, helping you. Then suddenly when you come to US and you're here, it's you're learning life, you're doing things on your own. So I'm like growing, like, every day, like, one day at a time, like, I'm growing, and I'm making my own rules, what is right for me or not. And I create that cordial, like, what do you say, that happy environment around me, where my family is growing together, in order to be like, I mean, it's a different feeling, like, where I am responsible for my things, and I am the one, and we have that balanced approach towards raising our kid. So you grow. I've grown exponentially after coming to the US, because I've been responsible for my life.
Yeah, did it because I went to that stage myself when I went to US as a student, grad student in the age of 22. What I found that myself, and I grew exponentially, and because it helped me more self-sufficient. I have to clean my apartment, I have to vacuum, I have to cook, I have to do everything else. I have to do the laundry and everything else, right? And here, a bunch of people there. So you take a control of your life. So self-sufficient. And then when my baby was born, then I have to raise the kid, my wife worked there, everything else. So does it, what I'm trying to say is that, does it help you when you go to US?
No.
Is that your experience that you are more self-sufficient because you are forced to do that, or you have to be more self-confident about yourself?
It's not about the country where you move to, even if it was in India or anywhere in the world. My personal experience is like, I came here, so that was the one place where I grew up. I grew as a woman, and I learned the things of here, because I mean, there are so many aspects. It doesn't have to be like, because I moved to the US I grew up. No, nothing like that. I mean, I don't know, like, it differs from each person to person, because their upbringing, like, mine was a very sheltered and very pampered life. And until I came here, here you're very independent, you do things on your own. You have to drive, you have to do things. And it's like in India, like, everything you have help. So there was like less of a growth for me. But here, like, you do things, so I grew.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
very much.
I'll now go to Mohammad Halim Khan Saab. If he can ask his question or comment, whatever he has. Mohammad Halim Khan Saab is the former Secretary Government of India, and he was there on the initial sessions addressing as well. Yes, sir.
Shiny, congratulations for doing so well. You are very articulate, and especially when you say that money and power need not be pursued for its own sake, but it should come during the course of the time by doing whatever pleases you. Now, this was really a very good way of putting up things, and I congratulate you for that. This clarity is great at this age. I'm not saying that, I mean, you are a grown-up person, but this clarity is very good, that the thing to be pursued is what makes you feel happy rather than just a lust for power or money. So that's very good for you. I'm sure it is going to take you a long way. And
Thank you, sir.
you represent. I don't know whether it is good saying it. You represent the soft power of India in US. So all the best to you. And the more
Thank you.
you do better, more you do for yourself, it helps the country in taking few steps forward. So all the best. And it was really good listening to you. I'm sure when you visit next time to India, do plan your performance here so that we can all be benefited by it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
I'll go to another alumni I see here, and then I'll go to Professor Kishore Kulkarni. Dr.
Yeah,
Sadar.
yeah. Hey, Sadar, how are you? I saw Sadar, I saw Samir.
I think, let me just unmute him. I don't know, there's some technical glitch there, but we'll unmute him maybe later, just first, once we do. I'll go to Professor Kishore Kulkarni and then we'll go. Just a second.
Okay.
Kishore Kulkarni,
Thank you, Shaini Madam, for such a beautiful presentation. And the way you spoke and the way you shared your experiences and the way you are taking care of your daughter for inculcating these values by teaching Bhagavad Gita and all these things. So really, it's very impressive. My one small question is that while maintaining the happiness quotient, do you think that, or how do you think that meditation help you?
So my experience is like I become very calm. I'm a very easy person to be happy. I'm always, happy person because I don't get influenced by, oh, you didn't call me, I didn't call you, all those things. It doesn't matter to me at all. If they don't call me, I call them. So I don't, I'm a very social kind of a person. For me, meditation really helped me to be calm and have a clear thought. So that's very important for I take one day at a time. So if today, for example, I had a very stressful Friday, so Aman sir knows about it. This week had been so crazy with our external regulators, and so it's a very demanding time. So every day morning, for me, that meditation, that time, it helps me feel so much calmer. Every time I feel like I'm at my best self, so it helps me by just chanting that simple Om. So that's what I tell my daughter also, just chanting that Om for 11 times. That vibrations does make a big effect, and please say that with gratitude in your heart, happiness will follow.
That means to maintain the emotional balance, this meditation is very helpful, very useful for you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I see now Sadar is here, and Sadar, if it's good to see you around again. And you have a beautiful background today, as against the other day when I was talking to you. You had so many books. Or I see Buddha here. I see such a beautiful couch you can sleep on. Lovely curtains. No? Go ahead.
Hi, Shaini.
Hey, Sadar, how are you?
Long time, huh?
I know, right? Yeah.
Congratulations, for this opportunity. I was listening from the beginning. It was nice to see our friends and colleagues are doing great things. So hope you are safe and working from home. It is nice to hear. There is no question at all, just to say hi. And there's a wonderful opportunity the IF is making for all the fraternity groups and even the senior people. That's a very nice platform. And a few days back, I was one of the participants in that, and really it's nice, and it's sharing of experience, and it is motivation for everyone and learning. It's a good learning platform. I really appreciate Aman sir and the fraternity of IAF. And wishing all the best, Shaini, for your future endeavors. Okay, keep in touch.
Same,
Thank you.
Same
Thank
to you,
you.
Sadar. Like, it's so good to see you. I saw you and I was saying, oh my God, Sadar is there, Samir is there, Yamini ma'am is there, Deepak sir is there. I was saying, oh my God, I'm so happy to see all of them. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Shaini. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sadar.
So great, Shaini. Let me see if any of the current, I think there's one current student also, like one or two. Let me see if they, I don't know if any one of them is here. In any case, thank you very much. I know it's very late for you. And thank you for coming over. And in any case, I will trouble you and I will welcome you at the Institute when you are around in India next time.
Absolutely, sir.
And as Khan Sahab has said, we would love to have your performance in some form. We will try and connect with some of the artists here who perform, and maybe we can have you club with some of those performances when they're here. So if you let me know at least a week or two in advance, then I will be able to speak to some friends who have been old performers as well. You might have known their names, and I brought one of them on the forum, but I'm going to bring 3-4 of them. Dr. Geecha Chandra is there, then the others were there. So I would like to bring some of them as well. So I see, because they keep organizing a lot of these cultural events, and it'd be nice to have some of our students who are performing very well.
It will be a great, it will be a great opportunity, sir. And as I said, sir, like IAF is always close to my heart because that is one place I moved out alone. And so that shaped my life and career a lot. So I'll definitely be bringing Diya and Krishnan to see the new campus. Definitely. And though I'll miss the Ashok Vihar one, right in the heart of the center, like center of the city, we had that campus, and it was such a beautiful one. Yes, I'm looking forward. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and it will be always be close to my heart. And to have me, have you invited me for having a small session here. Thank you so much, sir.
I'll take another moment because I have this administrative responsibility to perform for announcing what's involved for people after this now, and then we will close the session. So, dear friends and colleagues, we have a technical session by Professor Saurabh Agarwal on capital budgeting using Excel later today at 4 o'clock. Then on Sunday, we have a session on how to make money in the stock markets from 3 to 5. Then on Monday in the same program, I have another friend of mine, Dr. Nidhi Kumar, who is a celebrity, who is an artist, and hosts a large number of celebrity shows nowadays. She's also been an anchor at the Delhi Doordarshan National Television Channel, and she is trustee of the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Trust, and also an advisory board member of the Walcott Foundation, which does a lot of social activities around the globe and within the country specifically. So we have this in hold, and in any case, all these programs we are holding are going on our YouTube channel called IF News and Broadcasting YouTube channel for everyone to access them free of cost at any point of time, as we believe that knowledge needs to come from everywhere, as the Rig Veda says, but it needs to be given to everyone and from anywhere, any part of the world where it can. I'd like to thank Shaini again, and I would like to give the disclaimer again. These discussions which we are holding are personal perceptions of their personal individual lifespans. They have no bearing on the institutions or the organizations each one of these speakers come from, and neither of the Indian Institute of Finance. The whole objective is to bring positivity in the environment and positive outlook of life. And I'm very happy to say all the speakers I have spoken to so far have outlaid n number of structures pointing to the main theme of positivity and the way we can induce positivity in life to have a sense of growth in life. Thank you, Shaini. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Bye.